The screencast will cover the essay topic list. So what you see here is the marking periods, and then here you see the headings. The headings have different colors depending on the theme. So in this case here, we're looking at social, and you have to pick one per marking period. So you see the marking periods outlined here. So if you're going to write about women in abortion, that would mean you're picking from this particular box right here. Now notice that you do have number one and number two. You have that here. Here you only have one item. Here you only have one. This section here has two. So as the directions up top are letting you know that you don't have to answer both prompts. And what I mean by that is if you are writing in the third marking period about this topic here, you're picking either prompt one or prompt two. You are not expected to write about both of these particular topics. Additionally, when we're looking at some of these topics, you'll notice, let's take this one right here. 1920 gay rights activists such as Magnus Hirschfeld and or Henry Gerber. So you can choose to write about both, or you can choose to write about one. If you're going to write about Magnus Hirschfeld, then the expectation is you have one, two, three sources that clearly support what you're writing. It tells you up here that as well. And if you're going to write about Henry Gerber, you would need one, two, and three sources. And that's a minimum. If you are writing a mixture of the two, then you're just going to have to kind of figure that out and figure out how many you would devote to Hirschfeld in comparison to Henry Gerber. I would suggest at least two for each, but if you're trying to play beat the rubric and you know that the requirement is three, you can devote two to Hirschfeld and one to Henry Gerber. Now, this is just the direction sheet or the topic list. I do not recommend changing topics. What we see here in this section is all technology. What I mean by that is, let's just say you wrote that essay about Henry Gerber and Magnus Hirschfeld. It wouldn't make sense in the second marking period to now transition to this section on cars. The goal here, when you're writing these essays collectively, by the time you get to fourth marking period, you would have enough information, a good foundation of information about your topic. So in this case, if we're writing about computers, by the time you start writing about Napster and WikiLeaks, you would have had some understanding of the origins of the internet, which would be this essay, how computers have been used using the Hollerith as an example, as well as the Z1. When you're writing these essays on computers, you're focusing on either design or the function. How are these computers being built? What's unique about their specific design in comparison to the function? So again, if you're moving around too much, that's definitely going to be an issue. You wouldn't want to write about cars here, and then the arms race here, and then let's say here you write about the internet, and then you go back, because these essays are designed in a way where they're linked. And what I mean by that, let's take the car one. So if you're writing about cars in the 1920s, in this section, maybe you're writing about production methods, how cars are being built. And then you look at that change in the 50s and 60s by looking at some of these issues that are taking place here with regard to the V8 motors and how that might potentially create some change. So here we're looking at cars being produced. By the time you get to the 50s, you're going to see the boom of car culture. So production is going to increase. So if you're making, I don't know, 2 million cars here, since this is considered a golden age, maybe here you're making 5 million cars. This third market period essay, now we're looking at environmentalists and how they're concerned about pollution. If you're writing about gas crisis and environmental concerns, one of the big culprits would be the V8 motor that you would have been writing about here. Then by the time you get to the fourth market period, we see the collapse of the US auto industry because Japan is making four-cylinder engines, which directly competes with the V8 and is more efficient. So all of these essays are linked. And you'll see that throughout with all of these particular topics, the linkage. So I do not recommend switching topics. First market period, just pick one theme and stick with that theme throughout. And these are all of the topics. I also want to take note that there are some additional directions that are here depending on your essay topic. For example, there's an essay about Rwanda, and it asks you to, look at these documents. But for the most part, unless you're directed to do so in the prompt, and then it'll tell you down here. So here's just some more information about using JSTOR, not changing your topic. JSTOR must be used as a source. Do not change your topic. But these are just starting points, and they can be revised. What I mean by that is, if you're writing about cars, my prompt was about the golden age of cars in the 1950s, and maybe you find some resources that you kind of want to veer off this particular topic. You can a little, but you don't want to go too much off topic. You still need to address the golden age. That's what it's telling you here. Do not change your topics completely. As well as you can access, I have other websites for my Holocaust class, 9/11 class, race, class, gender, gay rights. You can access those sites as well to get additional resources. You can always ask for help. And I would definitely suggest that you start reviewing the screencasts to help with your essays. That's it.